What is going on, TEC? TNT here, bringing you an extremely belated Week 6 recap of TEC Season 7. I am very sorry about the delays. Stuff happens. Mics crap out. Life happens. So, hopefully you can all find it in your hearts to forgive me for being a couple weeks late. And with that, I'll get on to the disclaimer that none of this is personal. Most of it's a joke, so take it as such. Anyway, we start week 6 with Unknown versus Jake. For once, Nilla didn't play the first game. Jake won 3-0 and is Poison Point Nidoqueen the new meta? The RNG was certainly in favor of it. I was convinced that Jake had thrown the game away when he sacked Pex instead of clicking the freest recover known to man, but it appears that it was simply his plan. Ha! That rhymes. It's rapping time. Actually, on second thought, don't worry. I won't subject you all to the absolute horror that would be me rapping. I will, however, subject you all to our next game, which is somehow worse. Next, we have Amarillo against Ornn, and Amarillo won 3-0 in a 40-turn attempted stallfest. Ornn reminds us all why other leagues clown on us for having him in our top division. Not only did he wimp out of multiple chances to status his opponent's mons and instead clicked recovery like a loser, he also tried to plot up Hydri on Salamence, which has a higher base speed than Hydri and 2 Ko's by either 2 Dragon Claws or sets up Dragon Dance into a kill and wins. Ornn was very confused in chat after this, as he seems to have forgotten that this isn't like golf. A higher number means a faster finish. You could have literally checked the speed stats by hovering your mouse over the 2 mons on the site. Come on, man. Ornn gets Choke of the Week, and Amarillo's entire team gets Nickname of the Week for Ornn Slander. This channel will always award Ornn Slander. Our next game is Vanilla against Yuck. Vanilla, slacking, didn't get the first game. Yuck won 2-0, and forgetting terrain on Rilla is not an accident. It was sending a message. I can beat Nilla even without the thing that makes the monk good, is what it said. Yuck had simply been concealing his true skill level all season, and for whatever reason, decided Nilla was the opponent and this was the game to show even a fraction of his true power. Well played from both. Yuck won by more if Rilla had terrain. Next, we have Ornn against Luca. Luca won 1-0, and Zero Aura just got 1v1 by a Stunfisk. And it was worse than just a 1v1. The Stunfisk had time to set rocks right in the middle of the fight. Like a goalkeeper reading last Sunday's paper against a team that can't shoot on the net, Stunfisk really said, "I'll come back when you can deal a little damage," and then came back to finish the kill. Zera on Mon confirmed. Well played from both. Ornn almost brought it back at the end. Next we have Mav against Pulsey, and Mav won 5-0 in a blowout on Slowburn. This game gets Blowout of the Week as well as the Orange Award for the way in which Mav slowly and excruciatingly picked apart Pulsey's team. He's better at stall than our glorious stall overlord. It isn't that hard to pick apart a draft team when the same sets are being brought week over week, but the meticulousness with which Mav picked apart Pulsey's roster was impressive. Next we have JK against Max. JK won 3-0, and yet another week where JK's reign is simply unanswered on the opposing team. As much as I hate Rain, I have to hand it to him. JK drafted against the pool very well. As far as play goes, Max did a good job bluffing the Scarf Tarak. He had me well convinced, and that bluff saved him 3 differential points. Well played, but Clash simply didn't have an answer to full Rain. Next we have JTK against Prison. JTK won 3-0, and Prison was doing really well. Set of the week is the Grip Claw Rap S-Toss DOS to 1v1 the Amoongus. Clearly he turned his brain on. Clearly, he made the logical choice to avoid the insta-win on the Garage switch, but he forgot one vital factor. He needs to not show his opponent respect. He should just assume that his Oppo will always go for the less intelligent play. This is a little bit of a learning moment for our main character as the playoffs draw near. FYI, JTK, I like the T-Boat play. Sometimes less thonk is more. Well played from both. Next, we have Namdu versus Humdan. Humdan won 5-0, and Humdan prepped really well for this game. The isolation of Corv as the one thing blocking Dio was well done. One complaint. Why knock the Flame Body Mon? EQ kills, Corv is dead, don't risk the burn. Other than that, this one was played perfectly from Humdan's side. Namdu tried, but maybe playing and prepping drunk is not the best idea. It's how things like Booch Shaman versus a team with rocks as the only hazard are born. You do you, though. Now we move to double eight, and we have Chimp against Willux, and wait a second, this wasn't supposed to be a game. Clowns of the week, both of you. Last I checked, reading isn't that hard. Did you two pass the first grade? Or are you simply unable to look in a straight line? I admit that I have mixed up weeks for pick'ems and the like, but never for my own games. I actually would double check that. How on earth did neither of you notice something was off? And you don't even play each other this season. Congratulations, you joined Trevor in the incredibly elusive TEC Hall of Clownship. You did it. Now, for our first actual double-A game, we have Lucifer against Geryon. Lucifer won 2-0 with so many scarves. You two really dressed your Pokemon for the winter weather, didn't you? I counted at least 4 scarves between the two teams. Absolutely ridiculous. Scarf is for the weak. Use blunder policy. This game was well played between both of you and came down to some interesting endgame decisions and rolls. Nice game. Next we have Dom against Freezerman. Freezerman won 2-0. And this game gets hacks of the week because Freezerman hit 4 Hurricanes, an Air Slash, 2 Fire Blasts, and multiple head smashes without a miss. That was absolutely insane. Any of those miss in this game could have been entirely different. While there are certainly things Dom could have done better to answer this attacking onslaught, it's tough to counter a long series of high-power moves that simply do not miss, even when mathematically speaking, they should. Next we have Pineapple against Flip. Pineapple won 2-0, and ha! More proof that Zeraora is utter trash. It got the same amount of kills as Dunsparce, but Dunsparce defeated a very, very strong Gligar, while Zeraora only fed off what was left of a Terrak. Zera is an Unmon, it's worse than Dunsparce. If Orange were a Pokemon, he'd be a Zeraora. Pineapple played a really good game, and for Flip, Ice Beam Dunsparce gets an honorary mention for set of the week because I liked it. Not a very heat bring, but when a special Dunsparce gets an OHKO, it must be recognized. Next we have TG against John. John won 2-0 in a big upset, and TG, you are so lucky that Orange forgot how speed tiers work this week. That Kyurem play was bad, but given that one of our top div coaches forgot how to count, you get a pass. Somewhat. Who switches a Caillou in on a Blaze Ace? What in the world was that? Did you think it was a good idea? John played well, but TG had that game and sacked his win along with the Kyurem. Next we have Luke against Zach. Luke won 3-0. And this game is literally Reasons to Draft a Dark Type, 1944, colorized. When you don't have a Dark Type, you lose to Stat Stack Stored Power. It's the easiest gimmick on Earth to run and would be totally unviable with even a single Dark Type on your roster. Also loses to Prankster Status Spam, but that didn't really show in this match, so whatever. Luke did a great job explaining the hole in Zach's roster, but come on, Zach. Dark is an important type and you just left it out. I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed. Next we have Brayden against Hydro, and Brayden won 2-0. Brayden and Hydro before the game. This is a reenactment of an actual conversation that totally happened and I didn't make it up. How much tech can we fit into a short game? Yes. That ends the reenactment. This game gets Game of the Week, featuring sets from Whirlpool Trapping Chomp to Sub-Focus Punch Emma, and a game that came down to a 50-50 with Parachance and was well played from both sides. This one was a really fun watch. Highly recommend giving this one a full view for those who haven't already seen it. Next, we have Finlay against Chimp, and the first of our two coaches to be featured twice this week appears. He immediately makes a strong case for his placement in Honedge next season. Chimp choked away the early game and then proceeded to get exposed by Dottler in the endgame. He even tried to set up on the Dottler, who then laughed in the face of Swords Dance harder than a 9-year-old playing PvE and proceeded to obliterate Chimp's remaining Pokemon for the win. Well played, Finlay. Goatler confirmed. Next we have Pawn against Willux. Willux won 5-0, and Willux clearly just wanted more screen time this week as he proceeded to absolutely flatten Pawn in a convincing fashion. Speaking of convincing, Pawn, is there anything I can do to convince you to stop chucking all of your mons into oblivion every week? This Moltres death was especially mind-numbing. Please, think of the children before sending your team in to be butchered like that. It's not pleasant to watch. Now we move to our lowest division, Honedge, aka Choke Division, and we start with a game that lowered my IQ temporarily to below room temperature. Labs won 3-0, and the chat was a mess even before turn 1. So was this game. Scorpion, you complain about Emma not performing, but you play it like this. He was clearly clicking Flamethrower. Literally, go slow, bro. Click T-Port and control that endgame. Even if he clicked Draco, he would have been stuck after that. Instead, you gave up any hope of Emma living any sort of hit later in the game, and then you tried to set up Kirim in front of a Magnezone when it kills you no matter what it does. Also, no Scarf Clown was a throw. It won with Scarf here. Specs ain't it. Solid play from Lavs. Scorp threw this one into the dumpster and then burned it. Next we have Barak against Iron. Iron won 5-0. And this matchup was a fairly straightforward one for Iron. Just click super effective moves and win. Barak was forced to play very conservatively and predictably, resulting in Iron being able to wall off everything he tried to do. Iron executed well on his matchup win. Next, we have Curthwack versus Herb. Curthwack won 2-0, and why so surprised, Curth? You outplayed the entire game and got a good result despite some unfortunate RNG. Herb played that by the book, and Curth simply had read that same book. Solid play from both. Deserved win for Curth. Next, we have Pumpkin against Tact. Pumpkin won 3-0, and another game where I get to go off about dark types this week. Yay. When facing the Ghost Horse, bring a resist. It's easy to prep for, but this is what happens when you forget. The horse casually ate through 2 resist berries on its way to a full reverse 6-0. Pumpkin did not deserve that game, but got bailed out by how the horse just ate through Tact. I'm no longer just disappointed. I am also angry. Draft dark types, people. It's not hard. Next, we have Tebow versus Metal. Metal won 4-0. And okay, Tebow. Haze clears stat changes. Defog clears hazards. Got it? Good. Try to either remember the move mechanic or check the move description in battle before you throw an opportunity away like that again. Massive brain fart aside, Tebow played fairly well. Metal just had a good MU and played it perfectly. Next, we have Schmidt against Jake. Jake won 4-0, and well, Jake, I have to hand it to you. You had me convinced you were going to throw the match away, but your play with that reach pick Zard brought it back. I don't care how well it does. Pick 3 Zard X is a dumb and wasteful pick, and nothing you do can change my mind. Schmidt really had nothing for the Swords Dance Flame Charge X Zard. It was a nice bring. Schmidt's play wasn't bad either, it was just an unfortunate mashup. Next we have Karl against Tanksworth. Karl won 1-0, and a game that ended in a 70-30 RNG roll. Had Tank not fallen back into his bad habit of sacking Polt uselessly before it gets the chance to do anything, he would have won this game easily. Karl did a good job of capitalizing on Tank's mistake, but come on, Tank. How many times have you made that mistake this season? Or is it even a mistake? Everyone who has Polt in their roster is clearly trying to drive its value down so they can get it next season, no matter which pick they drew. Clever, but I have seen through you all. Insert maniacal laughter here. And our final game was a double forfeit. For the commentary, I just wrote sadness noises, because it makes me sad. Double forfeits are sad, so you all get the saddest crusade this week. What is on your screen is an image depicting the Children's Crusade. This one, known as the Children's Crusade, is the source of a lot of scholarly debate. The crusade was composed of either children or poor people or both. In either case, 2 separate groups were persuaded by well-spoken boys to go on a crusade. The 4th crusade was a logistical mess, but the Children's Crusade could not have even been said to have had logistics. These people firmly believed that God would provide miracles and a massive Muslim conversion upon their arrival. One group tried to go to the south of France and get sea passage to Jerusalem, but the movement fell apart, and there are a wide variety of reports as to what happened to the people there, varying from settling in port towns to drowning in the Mediterranean or being sold into slavery. A second group tried to cross the Alps from Germany, and that went about as well as you would expect, as upon their arrival in Genoa they had no food and the locals weren't willing to help a random religious mob. Some reports say that a few of these people got to Rome, where Pope Innocent thanked them for their time and devotion and then proceeded to tell them to go home. Others say that none made it to Rome. The lack of good records is due to the medieval Catholic Church being the medieval Catholic Church and not keeping an accurate record of this event because they did not organize or support it. In the end, the Children's Crusade was like a double forfeit. Everyone involved lost in a completely pointless and sad manner. Alright, that's it for this week. I will see you in my next vid.